Has the veil finally lifted? Because right now, a huge chunk of the internet is asking whether Jay-Z just showed everybody exactly who he really is, and they are not happy about it. Jay-Z just announced an exclusive deal with Target to sell the 30th anniversary double vinyl edition of Reasonable Doubt, and the timing could not be worse, because Target has been at the center of an ongoing black consumer boycott for over a year. Today, we're breaking down why this deal set off such a strong reaction, walking through Jay-Z's full history of corporate partnerships that critics say follow the exact same pattern, and presenting both sides of a debate that's genuinely splitting opinion right now. Let's get into it. Here's the deal itself. Jay-Z announced a limited edition 30th anniversary double vinyl release of his debut album Reasonable Doubt and made it exclusive to Target, meaning that's the only retail location where physical copies are available. The timing is what set this off. Target has been at the center of an ongoing black consumer boycott from a large portion of the black consumer community since early 2025, after the company rolled back several diversity and inclusion commitments. Plenty of people who've been actively avoiding Target for over a year saw this exclusive deal and felt like Jay-Z had effectively crossed picket lines, not by shopping there, but by handing the company a high-profile cultural moment to use as a promotional win during an active boycott. Critics, like the TikTok creator known as Culture Work, whose commentary went viral discussing this, made the point directly. Jay-Z had the platform and the resources to put this release in black-owned record shops or independent retailers, instead chose the largest possible mainstream retailer in the middle of an active boycott. To understand why this particular deal triggered such a strong reaction, you have to look at Jay-Z's history with corporate partnerships, because critics argue this isn't an isolated incident, it's a pattern. Back in the mid-2000s, Jay-Z became the public face of the Barclays Center development in Brooklyn, presented as a community-driven, partly black-owned project bringing investment into the neighborhood. Critics have pointed out that his actual ownership stake turned out to be a small fraction of 1% of the overall deal, reportedly netting him a payout in the single-digit $1 million for lending his name and credibility to the project. The development went on to significantly accelerate gentrification in the surrounding neighborhood, something residents and activists are still grappling with today. The criticism isn't about whether the arena got built, it's about whether the "this is for the community" framing matched the actual ownership structure underneath it. The second major flashpoint critics raise is Jay-Z's role with the NFL during and after the Colin Kaepernick protest controversy. After Kaepernick was effectively shut out of the league for kneeling during the national anthem to protest police brutality, a significant boycott movement built around the NFL, fans refusing to buy tickets, jerseys, or watch games. In 2019, Jay-Z entered into a partnership with the NFL focused on entertainment and social justice initiatives, including involvement with the Super Bowl halftime show and a prison reform program. Supporters framed this as Jay-Z using his leverage to push real change from within the system. Critics framed it very differently, arguing that the partnership effectively gave the NFL a credible black cultural figure to point to right as the Kaepernick boycott was gaining real momentum, defusing pressure on the league without Kaepernick himself ever getting reinstated. Jay-Z has addressed this publicly, saying he stepped in to help what he called a vulnerable league move forward, while critics note he's been notably vague about directly naming what specifically the league was being criticized for in the first place. Now here's where it's worth pausing to look at this from a different angle, because there's a business logic to all of this that isn't necessarily nefarious on its face. Jay-Z has built an entire career post-music as a brand and business partnerships expert. Armand de Brignac, Doucet, Roc Nation, his stake in various ventures, his entire value proposition to corporate partners is exactly what critics are upset about. He can move culture and credibility in a way few people can. From a pure business standpoint, an exclusive retail partnership for a 30th anniversary vinyl release is a completely standard, unremarkable move for any major artist. Labels and artists do exclusive retail tie-ins constantly, with Target specifically, regardless of politics. The reason this particular one is generating backlash isn't really about vinyl retail strategy in a vacuum. It's entirely about timing, given the active boycott news cycle. It's also fair to lay out this other side clearly, because not everyone sees this as a betrayal. Some defenders make the point that Jay-Z is, after all, a businessman who has openly built his entire persona around capitalism and personal wealth, and that expecting any one businessman to consistently align with activist movements may be expecting something he never actually promised. He's never branded himself primarily as a movement leader. He's branded himself as a mogul. There's also a fair question about proportionality. Is a vinyl reissue exclusivity deal really comparable to the Barclays Center or the NFL partnership in terms of actual community impact? Some would argue this is a relatively minor retail decision being treated with the same weight as multi-hundred-million-dollar real estate and league partnerships, simply because it happened to land during an active boycott news cycle. To understand the intensity of the reaction, you also need to understand what the target boycott itself represents to the people participating in it. This isn't a spontaneous, one-off reaction. It's been a sustained, organized economic action for over a year, specifically built around the idea that consumer spending power is one of the few consistently effective forms of leverage available to Black consumers when companies walk back commitments. For people deeply invested in that movement, a deal like this isn't just a celebrity-made a business decision. It's read as undermining months of organized collective action by handing the boycotted company a high-visibility partnership with one of the most recognizable names in Black culture, right when the movement needs sustained pressure to actually work. Strip away Jay-Z specifically, and there's a genuinely bigger conversation happening here about wealthy public figures and community expectations generally. It's a tension that comes up repeatedly with extremely successful figures from any community that's organizing around collective economic action. At what point does an individual's personal business interests start conflicting with a movement's collective goals, and whose responsibility is it to manage that tension? Some people argue wealthy public figures have an elevated responsibility to align with movements representing the communities that built their platform. Others argue that expecting any one businessman to subordinate their personal deals to a boycott they're not formally part of is an unfair standard nobody else in their position is held to. Neither take is unreasonable. It's a real, ongoing debate, not a settled question. As of now, the deal stands, the vinyl release is moving forward, and the backlash online doesn't seem to be slowing down. Commentators like Culturework have specifically called for people to skip the Target exclusive release and seek the music through other channels instead, pointing out the original Reasonable Doubt album is already widely available on streaming platforms regardless. Whether that messaging actually affects sales of a niche vinyl reissue remains to be seen, but the conversation itself has clearly struck a nerve well beyond just this one release. So where do you land on this? Is this a legitimate business move getting unfairly caught up in boycott politics, or a real pattern of corporate alignment at the community's expense? Drop your take in the comments, because this is clearly a debate with real arguments on both sides. Like this video if this breakdown helped you understand both perspectives. Subscribe for more culture and business deep dives, and I'll see you in the next one.